Peace will fill the world when we finally understand that only from within can it be spread throughout the land. Every single person living peace in what we do, only then will our dream come true. Only then will our dream come true. Only then will our dream come true.
Good morning, friends. I'm Leona Evans, minister at Unity of San Luis Obispo, an inclusive, progressive, spiritual community affirming the good in all life. Welcome to our Sunday morning live stream. I am delighted that you're here, and I'm thrilled to be here on this July 4th Independence Day weekend. We'll be talking about independence mainly from an inner perspective, but there is much to be grateful for in the concept of freedom, which is written in our hearts, in the hearts of all people everywhere. Freedom, what a divine idea. So let us prepare to get ready, and we do this by becoming comfortable, by relaxing our bodies, by opening our minds and hearts, by focusing and awakening to the power and potential that is within us. Remember, unity, new thought are the places where you can remember that you are an expression of spirit, of God, that you are endowed with spiritual gifts, that these gifts are being coaxed into manifestation by the universe itself teeming with life, substance, and intelligence. Let's take a deep breath once again and prepare to be transformed. Let us speak the words of Unity's invocation statement together. I am now in the presence of pure being, immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. Once again, I am now in the presence of pure being, immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. And so it is. Amen. Let's open our service with a joy song performed by Matthew J. Evans.
Good morning. Today we're going to sing Let Your Light Shine by Janet Manning. Please sing along with the lyrics on the bottom of the screen. Let your light shine wherever you are. Let your light shine. The world needs a star to show the way to wise ones who seek a holy birth, to radiate a message of love and peace on earth. Let your light shine at work or at play. Let your light shine, for this is the way to make the world a brighter place, a place where life is filled with grace and joy will come winging. Your heart will be singing when you let your own light shine. Let your light shine to bless and to cheer. Let your light shine, the message is clear. The world takes on a splendor when love illumines you. It soon reflects the sender, and then the world shines too. Let your light shine, whatever the hour. Let your light shine, for you have the power to make the world a brighter place, a place where life is filled with grace and joy will come winging. Your heart will be singing when you let your own light shine. Have a good morning, everybody.
Thank you so much, Matthew. That was just lovely. That's one of my favorite songs. So today we're celebrating the 4th of July. We're celebrating freedom. The Declaration of Independence was actually signed on July 2nd, 1776, but 2 days later, on July 4th, we celebrate the day that we, as the United States, as it was then, declared our freedom from England. We declared our freedom to worship as we please, vote for our representative, have a say as to how our government is run, being free to chart our own destiny in so many ways. And so today I would ask us to celebrate our inner freedom, to figure out what it means to be free, and to understand that being free doesn't necessarily mean we get to do whatever we want. Bob Dylan said, "I think of a hero as someone who understands the degree of responsibility that comes with freedom." I'll say that again. Bob Dylan said, "I think of a hero as someone who understands the degree of responsibility that comes with freedom." So, as we look back on certain periods that we call coming of age, certain times while growing up when we reach a certain milestone, the age of 10, the age of 16, the age of 18, the age of 21, where we say, I have more freedom than I had. And that means I can make my own decisions, I can make my own choices. I don't have to consult anybody. Nobody can tell me what to do. I'm free. And so, with a wonderful antithesis in that dialectical process, we start the thesis all over again. And now we have to learn responsibility comes with freedom. Just because we're free and just because we can doesn't mean that we should. There are always things we can do, but they're not always the things that will bring us the greatest sense of efficacy, of effectiveness, of self-trust, of self-confidence, of genuine self-esteem. Freedom is a process, and it takes a tremendous degree of responsibility to learn to make choices and to calculate the consequences of our choices. Again, just because we can doesn't mean we should. So I want to share a story with you that happened when I was in ministerial school many years ago at Unity Village. Well, those of us who had given up our careers and our lives to follow a calling to share the Unity teachings with the world were kind of an insecure lot when we got there. What does a minister look like? We'll buy those clothes. We'll wear those clothes. What does a minister sound like? We will modulate our voices as much as we can, and we will do the best we can to be pleasant all the time, because everybody knows that if you learn to be able to hold your temper and to not give in to anger or fear, that a minister never loses their cool. I'll pause for laughter. We used to think that. Please, I ask you, let's not think that anymore. What we do when we get ordained as ministers is have an understanding of the teachings, how to apply them when we get in trouble, how to learn how to keep on keeping on, and recognize that these qualities that we call human or undesirable can be transformed, can be translated into energy that goes in another direction. But because we're in a process, this in no way means that we have to master those things. What it means is we know how to talk about them, we know how to articulate them, we're devoted to them, we're dedicated to them, and we want more than anything to share this powerful news with others. And so we came in with an understanding that we wanted to share these teachings with others, but we didn't exactly come in allowing ourselves to make mistakes along the way. We wanted to know in advance what was required of us, what behavior, what attitude, and so we listened and watched very carefully as we got clues and guidelines as to how that was going to work. So one day we came into class and our instructor said, today we're going through a powerful exercise that is going to help and support all of you on your journey to leading a field ministry. Now, not only did we have to dress right, look right, sound right, do our homework and make sure we knew what we were talking about, but we had to be leaders. We weren't going to use the years in ministerial school to learn how to be leaders. We were going to be leaders and show them how brilliant we could be and how right we were for ministerial school, in case anybody on the faculty thought differently. So this exercise was called Win as Much as You Can, and it was going to teach us the value of good leadership. Each of us was divided into teams. Each team elected a leader, someone who would speak for them in a way that was compatible with what they believed, someone they thought they could trust. And these leaders would come up to the platform as called, be presented with a task, something to do with ministry, something to do with business in ministry, something to do with dealing with other people and the choices we made and how we dealt with them. And so we did. I was appointed to a group as the others were, and in my group, they chose me as their leader. They felt that I had the confidence to speak for them in a way that worked for the instructions in the program and helped us prove that we were worthy leaders. So I went up there, and the first task was fairly simple. I was easy to make a decision. I felt it was a win-win situation. Went back and sat down. Everyone said, yeah, good job. Second task, it got a little harder. There were extenuating circumstances that made the decision not just cut and dry, but it had to be considered. It had to be thought out. We didn't have a lot of time to do it. But the one thing that went through my mind that set me on a different track than the one I really wanted to be was, what do my instructors think I should do to be a good leader? What do they think I should do? Now, one of the faculty members had said, well, being a good leader doesn't mean always saying yes to everyone. And I thought, aha, okay, let me take that information and apply it to this situation and see if I end up doing what I think they think I should do to be an effective leader. You see where this might be going, don't you? So I went ahead and made that decision. Well, the next decision was even harder, and this involved the question of whether a certain person was owed money for what they did, and it wasn't just cut and dry. It wasn't, well, you didn't do this work, therefore we have to take something off the total we owe you. It wasn't that simple. It had nuances, just like life, you know? And again, I made the decision, what will they think is good business that I should do in order to impress them that I'm a good leader and not let down my team? So I did that. I didn't really feel great about myself. It never occurred to me to suggest an alternative to the choices I was given. It just occurred to me to stay safe, to stay in the game, and to act like what I thought they wanted me to be as a good leader. So finally, the game was over. And we had won. Actually, our team had won. But the instructor got up and said, here's the point. This was an exercise in ethics, not in pushing our lead onto other people. It was an exercise in ethics. In other words, the exercise was called Win as Much as You Can. But it didn't say that you had to sacrifice your ethics. The whole title was Win as Much as You Can without sacrificing your dignity, the other person's dignity, your personal ethics, without being cutthroat. Win as much as you can, based on who you are, who you were created to be, and the love that is within you. And wow, it was one of the biggest lessons I ever learned. And it had a lot to do with freedom, and I'll talk more about that and how it related to freedom after we hear some wonderful music from Brett Mitchell and Matthew J. Evans.
Here's a lovely song originally written in 1944. Frank Sinatra recorded it in 1945 as the servicemen and women were coming home from World War II. And he's recorded it all through the years, different times. And music by Earl Robinson and lyric by Abel Meeropol, also known as Lewis Allen. It's called The House I Live In. What is America to me? A name, a map, or a flag I see? A certain word, democracy. What is America to me? The house I live in, a plot of earth, the street, the grocer and the butcher, and the people that I meet, the children in the playground, the faces that I see. The place I work in, a worker by my side, a little town or city where my people lived and died. The howdy and the handshake, the air of feeling free, and the right to speak my mind out. That's America to me. The things I see about me, the big things and the small, the little corner newsstand and the house a mile tall, the wedding and the churchyard, the laughter and the tears, and the dream that's been a-growing for 240 years. The town I live in, the street, the house, the room, pavement of the city, or a garden all in bloom. The church, the school, the clubhouse, the million lights I see, but especially the people. That's America to me. Isn't that just a gorgeous song? Boy, it's just as true today as it was back then in 1944 when it was written. Take heart, listen to it.
So beautiful.
Happy 4th of July, everybody.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Brett Mitchell and Matthew J. Evans. What a beautiful, beautiful rendition of that powerful song. So very powerful, talking about the ideals of the house, the country we live in, and the responsibilities of freedom, actually. Beautiful. So let me just finish up the idea of freedom and how it related to that Win As Much As You Can story. And it's this. I walked up to that platform to perform the exercise, and bingo, I found that it tapped in to some of my biggest insecurities, without which I would have been blinded to them for even longer. I really got a clear understanding about how I limited my freedom to actually be the leader that I was born to be, to actually know that I was in ministerial school by divine appointment, to know that I had the talents and skills and the gifts to share. I gave up that freedom for fear and insecurity. Fear that I had to look and sound like what they wanted. It didn't occur to me to actually know that I was what they wanted. I was. And so were my classmates, some of whom are still in ministry. It was a wonderful opportunity to figure that out. And later on, when I became a faculty member and chair of the metaphysics department, I reminded the students that there was nothing that they had to show that they were. All they had to do was be all they were created to be and learn how to be guided and to use those guidelines and those ethical principles in order to make decisions that reflect our freedom, rather than becoming so insecure that our values change and we're not free anymore. I mean, I knew when I was up there were a couple of those decisions that I wouldn't have made. And in fact, if I really had felt free, meaning unthreatened, unguarded, if I really had felt free, I would have suggested not either this decision or that decision, but a third option, or maybe a fourth option. That's one of the things that is a gift of mine, actually, to go into a situation that looks somewhat untenable and to come up with different ideas, different ways of dealing with it, bring things together in a community, in a group that somehow will meet most of the needs. Something maybe that hasn't been thought of before. But instead of going with my intuition or with my gut, as we say, and suggesting that, I went with a decision that put a bit of a smear, a smudge, shall we say, on my self-efficacy. That's why I tell this story. I think it was such a powerful experience. I hope my classmates learned as much as I did through that exercise. And I do not hesitate going through it, at least being prepared to rely on the freedom, the God-given freedom that's within us, to make our own choices, to not fear consequences that we don't even know will occur, but to make our own choices. Let's go with another quote. This one by esteemed author of the Joy Luck Club, Amy Tan, and other great works. She says, in America, nobody says you have to keep the circumstances somebody else gives you. Again, Amy Tan says, in America, nobody says you have to keep the circumstances somebody else gives you. Let's really think about that. I have so many examples in my own family, a couple of which I can share with you in a minute or two. But think of what we're talking about in this sentence. Think of what we're talking about. Slavery, women's rights, gay rights, families who immigrated from different countries and chose and did everything within their power to live this freedom that they heard about from across the sea, to live it, to have the choices, to make the choices, to overcome more adversity than we could ever imagine. We're all overcomers. We're all overcomers. But if we remembered that, then we wouldn't be saying so often, I guess that's the way it is and that's the way it has to be. There's nothing I can do. What can I do? It's written in stone. I think this is one of the most important reasons that we have to bring Black history into our schools, and that we have to, I know every year I'm so committed to 1 month, the month of February, to devoting the lesson to individuals from all walks of life, African Americans who went through situations that we don't even know existed for the most part. But they kept on. They kept on. And so I hear people, especially during the time of Kwanzaa, talk about the pride in their ancestors, the fact that they're standing on the shoulders of those who made things happen, who allowed themselves to be beaten and tortured to save a child, their child or grandchild or great-grandchild, from having to go through the same thing. Nobody in America says that you have to keep the circumstances somebody else gives you. And so let us give thanks as, and this is an affirmation, more and more schools and libraries are paying attention to overcoming slavery and what it took to even believe that something like that could happen, what it took to stay alive and to keep the work going and to give their lives and to know and have faith in the God of freedom. I think this is extremely important. Women's rights, gay rights, rights of trans people. These are struggles that many of us don't feel we're connected to or understand or think, well, what's the big deal? They can do what they want to do. Real freedom has to do with the integrity of each one of us to reach out to our brothers and sisters and say, I feel your struggle. I believe in you. Nobody in America says you have to keep the circumstances somebody else gives you. Now, I have to correct that a little bit. The quote says, in America, nobody says. But I think we've heard those words around. The hero's journey, the struggle doesn't cease, but the method always stays the same, and that is a faith in freedom. Having the faith to know that the divine idea of freedom is written in our minds and hearts. We deserve it. We have the strength to go out and get it. We have the ability to see justice done because we know what it feels like when we're in our center and feel free to let our divine light express. And only when we believe that about ourselves, only when we believe that about ourselves, can we reach out and, in empathy and compassion, wish the same for all of our brothers and sisters, all life on this planet. I just want to say something before we go on about my family. Every one of my immediate family, except for my mother, was born in Eastern Europe. They struggled, they fought. My father was orphaned when the Tsar's army shot a group of people that they suspected were terrorists in Leningrad in 1905. My father was orphaned at the age of 5. He was holding his mother's hand when she was shot and killed. He had a twin sister who was taken by a relative to be a maid in her house. My father was not taken. He went to orphan homes. He worked at slave labor. He washed concrete stairs, and he emptied toilets such as they were, and he did all of that for a bite to eat and lessons. He got lessons, and he was able to read and write, and when he was beaten too much, he left that place and went to another place to see if it was any better. He kept going. He kept on going from the age of 5 to the age of 18. Now, his father left in 1905. He was going to America. He said he would come back and get my father and his sister, my aunt. But he didn't come back until my father was 18 years old, and he saw on a billboard that his father had a ticket for him to come to America. He never had to ask himself, is this what I should be doing? He went on his survival instincts, his gut instincts, his instincts to know that somehow, some way, there was a place of freedom where he could go, where he could be what he was created to be, where he could say what he wanted to say, where he wasn't persecuted because of his religion, ideally. That was the ideal. And apparently, without self-help classes, he, the rest of my family, the rest of your ancestors, the rest of the African Americans, the Native Americans, indigenous individuals, these people found their desire for freedom and knew that it meant more than anything else. And it's these people that I want to honor, and it's these shoulders that I want to stand on, because they paved a lot of way. And not only do I want to thank them for making it easier, shall we say, for many of us, but I want to be the person that someone eventually says, I stood on her shoulders, and it made it easier for me. Take a deep breath and slowly exhale as we enter our time of inner contemplation, meditation, and integration of today's message. On this powerful time in the history of our country, let us affirm freedom. Freedom for all in the United States of America. We give thanks that all individuals are free, endowed with their inalienable human rights, the freedom for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Let us give thanks that we are guided by infinite wisdom to take positive, nonviolent action on behalf of preserving our freedoms. And let us remember to extend our prayers to those with whom we disagree, even though they are political opponents. We are still connected by virtue of creation itself. We affirm right and perfect action to manifest divine justice, divine order, harmony, and positive relations among those with different points of view. Let divine order and divine justice prevail. And may the unconditional love of Spirit continue to bless the minds and hearts of all of us. And so it is. Amen. It's time now in our service to bless the offering that we would share with Unity of San Luis Obispo. I ask you this morning to keep us in mind. We are a progressive, inclusive organization that shares a part of our tithe with others, other organizations who are fighting, working toward, in nonviolent ways, civil rights and the peaceful preservation of our planet Earth. We ask you to be part of this opportunity to help us share the gifts of ministry that we have been doing with our virtual ministry, which will continue to keep on going, and for our in-person ministry, which will start next week. On your screen, you will see where we are meeting and when we are meeting. And I invite you to be there to help keep the dream alive. The dream of Unity of San Luis Obispo as a ministry of light and love that is there for each other on a weekly basis to help support one another. I look forward to seeing you next week. Those of you who don't live in the area, please know that our virtual ministry will keep going because there are hundreds and hundreds of people who watch every week, and we bless you and we thank you. And for you, I want to generate groups on Zoom that help us talk to one another and support one another, those of you who don't live in the area and even those of you who do. So please keep this in mind. Thank you for sharing your tithes and offerings with us, and let us speak the words of our prosperity affirmation together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I give and all that I receive.
Here are a couple of tunes to get you in the holiday spirit, both of them from George M. Cohan. Copyright 1904 and 1906. So back a ways. You ready, Matthew?
Oh, yeah.
He's ready. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm a Yankee Doodle dandy, Yankee Doodle do or die. Real live nephew of my Uncle Sam, born on the 4th of July. I got a Yankee Doodle sweetheart, she's my Yankee Doodle joy. Yankee Doodle came to London just to ride the ponies. I am that Yankee Doodle boy. I'm that Yankee Doodle boy. You're a grand old flag, you're a high-flying flag, forever in peace may you wave. You're the emblem of the land I love, the home of the free and the brave. Every heart beats true under red, white, and blue, where there's never a boast or brag. Should old acquaintance be forgot? Keep your eye on the grand old flag. Yankee Doodle came to London just to ride the ponies. I am that Yankee Doodle boy. You're a grand old flag, you're a high-flying flag, and forever in peace may you wave. You're the emblem of the land I love, the home of the free and the brave. Every heart beats true under red, white, and blue, where there's never a boast or brag. Should old acquaintance be forgot? Keep your eye on the grand old flag. Keep your eye on the grand old flag. Happy 4th of July, everybody. Have a good time. Thanks, Matthew. That was fun, huh?
Yeah, that was great.
Thank you, Georgian. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Brett Mitchell and Matthew J. Evans. That was a wonderful medley, so inspiring. I want to remind everybody that Yankee Doodle Dandy, starring James Cagney, one of the best musicals ever made, is going to be on TCM Tuesday, July 4th, and I recommend that everybody see it at least, well, in my case, probably 32 times. I don't know how often I've watched it, but it is, and actually I did perform in the musical George M., which was a tremendous opportunity to tap dance and wave the flag and talk about the incredible genius of George M. Cohan. Anyway, thank you, Brett and Matthew. Thank you also, Brett, for your wonderful meditation music, which inspires me and others every week. Very, very inspired music. Thank you. Let's sing our peace song, shall we?
On earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every breath I take, let this
And now let's speak the words of our prayer for protection. Together, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Friends, please remember to press the like button and to share your comments with us. We really, really appreciate hearing from you. Also, remember that along with our virtual service next Sunday, those of you in the San Luis Obispo area, we will be meeting in person. And again, here is the address, here is the time, there's our website, our phone number if you want any more information. We'll be seeing you at 10 a.m. God bless you. Have a wonderful week. You deserve it.
Every single person living peace in what we do. Only then will our dream come true. Only then will our dream come true. Only then will